Aloha everyone and welcome to today's webinar. We're so thankful that you guys have joined us today. Let's get started for today's webinar. We are thankful to have the Administration for Native Americans giving us the opportunity to go ahead and present this from the ANA Pacific region. Their mission at ANA really is to promote self-sufficiency for Native Americans and Pacific Islanders by providing discretionary grant funding for community-based projects and training and technical assistance to eligible tribes and Native organizations. And their vision is to see that all Native communities are thriving. A little bit about today's presenter. We have Mr. Matthew Ng, who is the TA specialist from the ANA Pacific region. Matthew Kaulana grew up on the island of Maui and has worked with ANA's Pacific Region Training and Technical Assistance Center for the last 8 years. As a technical assistance specialist, Matt helps nonprofits develop and sustain community-driven ANA projects serving Hawaiian, Samoan, Tokelauan, Chamorro, Carolinian, and other First Nation people across the Pacific. Previously, Matt worked in publishing and media, including grant writing with Hawaii-based nonprofits. He has a Master in Business Administration, excuse me, and an undergraduate degree in journalism and communication. Today, Matt lives in Nu'uanu with his wife, Kelsey.
Hey, thank you, Shisa, and welcome everyone to today's webinar. So if you're interested in applying for one of ANA's funding opportunities in 2020, then you're in the right place. ANA provides grants of up to $400,000 per year for 1, 2, or 3-year projects serving Native communities across the country and Pacific. Last year, ANA made more than $16 million in grants to 58 Native community-based projects. In general, ANA funds social and economic development projects like cultural preservation and entrepreneurship programs, native language preservation and maintenance, including language immersion schools and projects, and environmental and regulatory enhancement for tribes and villages. For details about priority areas and funding availability, you'll have to consult the funding opportunity announcements for the grant you're interested in applying for. Once your FOA is published, you'll have 90 days to read it thoroughly and write your grant application. So fortunately for you, the 2020 FOAs have not been published yet. So for us, this gives us some time to make sure that our organization is fully registered and up to speed so that we're ready to apply for an ANA grant. And that's the purpose of this webinar, to make sure you're ready to apply for an ANA grant from day one. So we have 3 objectives for this session. To make sure you're eligible for an ANA grant, to register or update the online accounts your organization will need to have set up in order to apply for an ANA grant, and to prepare your team and your community for the process of preparing an ANA grant application. As with all of ANA's twice monthly webinars, this session is being recorded, so don't worry too much about transcribing each slide or getting every single detail. Later on, you'll be able to play back and pause portions of this webinar to guide you through the process step by step. And we'll send out that recording to you a few days to a week after this webinar is done. So chances are you already have an idea for an awesome project to serve your Native American, Alaska Native, or Pacific Islander community. But it's really important to remember that ANA funds community-based projects. So ANA believes that the best projects are those that put Native community members in the driver's seat. This ensures that projects align with what your community actually needs rather than what you may think it needs. Rallying your community for a get-together can sometimes take weeks, so we recommend starting early in engaging your community. And there are a few ways you might go about doing that. Holding large community meetings and town halls can be a very direct form of engagement, but getting good attendance requires getting the word out early, right? And having food available doesn't hurt. Have participants check in on a sign-in sheet. Leave a space on your sign-in form, allowing attendees to self-identify as Native. Later, you'll attach the sign-in sheet plus meeting minutes to your grant application as evidence of your community-based strategy. Surveys can be another way to get your community involved in designing your community-based project. Free online tools like SurveyMonkey and Google Forms make it really easy to create effective and engaging online questionnaires. When creating your questionnaire, there are a few things to keep in mind, right? So we want to avoid leading questions, right? Instead of trying to get your community to agree with what you want, seek real insights that can form the foundation of your project. Right? We're not trying to pitch them or get them to agree with what we want. We're trying to find out what the community actually needs. Avoid yes or no questions. So instead, use Likert scales, like a 1 through 5 ranking, multiple choice questions, and open-ended answers to capture more meaningful insights. And then, find those people with more to say. Allow respondents to opt in to a follow-up interview. I mean, you'd be surprised at how many people will actually choose to participate in a 10-minute phone call or focus group. But, it can be very useful in fine-tuning your approach. For tips and pointers for creating a strong questionnaire, we recommend checking out the ANA Outreach and Social Media Toolkit, which is available in the ANA Resource Library. Small groups can often be more manageable than one large town hall, allowing more active participation and deeper insights. Just make sure that the people at the table are representative of the different key stakeholders in your community, not just directors and administrators. You can attach notes, transcripts, minutes, even photos of poster sheets as evidence of community planning in your final grant application. And don't forget to jot down all the meaningful thoughts and unique perspectives you overhear during conversations. Later, you can use those direct quotes to really bring your grant narrative to life. ANA's Project Planning and Development Manual includes details and helpful tips on how to conduct meetings, surveys, and focus groups, plus lots more on how to develop a strong community-based project. And you can find that in the ANA Resource Library on the ANA website. It's important to start early because this process can take some time. A good ANA project addresses current community conditions, right? Those barriers preventing a community from being able to make progress on its long-range community goals. So ANA believes in supporting Native self-determination by allowing communities to define what long-term success looks like for their own tribe, village, or community. So now's the time to dig up any documents that might spell out your community's vision for the future, including long-range development plans, economic development goals, community plans, strategic plans, and past feasibility studies or any other long-term plans you may have on file. Really familiarize yourself with these docs and think about how an ANA project might make a difference long-term in, taking steps toward achieving those long-term goals. If your community has not defined any long-term plans yet, you can start the process now. Consult ANA's nonprofit toolkit, available in the ANA Resource Library, for helpful tips on facilitating a strategic planning process. Next, you want to make sure your organization is one of the entity types eligible for an ANA grant. These include federally or state-recognized tribes, urban Indian centers, Alaska Native villages, Native-serving nonprofit organizations, public state agencies serving Native people in Guam, American Samoa, and CNMI, and tribal colleges and universities. And if you're pretty sure your organization has gotten an ANA grant before, then there are two things that you'll want to check on. So first, does your organization currently have an ANA grant? If your current grant project will still be ongoing this year, then you won't be awarded another grant in the same program area. You can only hold one of each type of grant award at a time within what's called the CFDA number. Has your organization received 2 awards in a row under the same ANA program? So if you choose to apply for a third time in a row under the same CFDA number or the same program, know that ANA may give your application a lower priority, and that's to give more applicants a chance at funding. You are able to apply for a different program though. So for more on these and other potential disqualification factors, just be sure to consult your FOA once they're published. No matter what, it's important that the applicant organization has a real and meaningful relationship with the community the project will serve. This means that at least half of your board of directors must be, of Native origin or have a meaningful cultural relationship with your community. Note that ANA does not fund fiscal sponsors. So before you get real deep into this process, ask yourself, why us? Does my organization have proven expertise doing the kind of work our community needs? Do we have the capacity to do what needs to be done over the course of a 3-year project? And are we the right one for the job, right? If you'll need to be working with others to fill in the gaps, be sure to start reaching out to potential partners and collecting signed letters of commitment ASAP. Grants.gov is the US government's portal for all grant awards. Your ANA grant application will need to be submitted online via grants.gov unless you receive an exemption waiver from ANA. If you're a new applicant, registering a grants.gov account can take up to 6 weeks to complete, so it's important to start early. Thankfully, the grants.gov website has an excellent 3-step guide to registering your organization, which you can find on their website. So first, you'll need to register a unique 9-digit DUNS number, and this could take a couple days. Next, you'll register an account with the System for Award Management, or SAM. This step could take anywhere between 2 weeks to 5 weeks if you still need to register an EIN. And finally, you'll be able to register for an organization account in grants.gov and be all set up to apply for an ANA grant in 2020. Registering your accounts is completely free and really easy. So be aware of official looking websites trying to charge you money to register for SAM or grants.gov. Remember, if a website's asking you for your personal credit card information, you're in the wrong place. Make sure the website you're on ends in .gov and you should be okay. The first step is to register for a DUNS number. The government works with Dun & Bradstreet to assign your organization a unique 9-digit number in the Data Universal Numbering System. Registering a DUNS number is easy, and the whole process can take between 1 to 2 days. So there are 2 ways that you can go about it. You can call Dun & Bradstreet toll-free at 1-866-705-5711 and register by phone, especially if you're in a pinch. But registering online will give you a little more time to think about your answers. Simply go to fedgov.dnb.com and follow the step-by-step on-screen instructions. Whichever method you choose, you'll need updated information for your organization. Make sure you have your TIN, your taxpayer identification number, handy. And if you think you've done all this before, you can check to see if your organization already has an account by searching the company lookup on the DUNS website. You'll be able to retrieve your existing DUNS number or modify any outdated information that you see there before moving on to the next step. Once you're assigned your 9-digit DUNS number, you'll be ready to register a SAM account. The System for Awards Management, available at www.sam.gov, is an online database of every entity registered to do business with the US government. Before registering a new SAM account, check to see that you're not already registered by clicking Search Records for your organization by name. If your account exists but does not show up in the initial search, check to see if the account is inactive. Right? If it is, log in and update the account. You'll need to be, have active status in order to move forward. If you don't have an existing account, then it's time to register a new one. So first, you'll have to make yourself a user account. You may be required to create a secure login.gov account first. This is a new government-wide system that's being implemented for online systems. Then you'll be able to register your organization. So it helps to have 3 things on hand at the ready before you start registering your entity account for your organization. You'll need your DUNS number, as well as the legal business name and physical address you used when you registered with DUNS. You'll need your taxpayer identification number, or TIN, as well as the taxpayer name associated with that TIN. So the TIN is identical to your EIN, or employer identification number. You might find this on a recent 1099 or W-2, or you can look it up in the IRS tax exempt organization search, which we'll talk about a little later. Finally, you'll need to have your organization's bank account information, including account number, account type, and routing number, so that you can set up electronic funds transfers with the US government. You should also think carefully about who you appoint as your e-business point of contact. Whoever you appoint as your e-biz POC in SAM will end up with top-level oversight of your grants.gov account. Also be sure to make note of your MPIN. You might need that to log in to grants.gov later. To complete your SAM registration, you'll need to mail a notarized letter to SAM, authorizing an entity administrator. Thankfully, the Federal Service Desk at fsd.gov provides a convenient template letter that you can use. Simply download and complete the template form, print the letter on organizational letterhead, and sign it in the presence of a registered notary public. Finally, take the notarized letter and mail it to the Federal Service Desk at their address in London, Kentucky. This letter must be sent within 60 days of your SAM account activation. Approval should take about 12 to 15 days, and you can add another 24 hours to that for that information to be processed and recognized in grants.gov. Once your SAM account is approved, whoever you designated as your eBiz point of contact will need to renew your SAM account annually. If you already have a SAM account but haven't logged in for a while, make sure you log in and renew. Because if you haven't logged in for a year or two, you might still have to submit that notarized letter, which can take a few weeks to process. Finally, when your SAM account is approved, you'll be ready to register for your grants.gov account, which is what you'll need to apply for an ANA grant. The team at grants.gov makes it easy for you to register with helpful videos and guides. First, you'll need to register a new organizational applicant account, which requires that DUNS number you got earlier. This should be done by whomever will represent your board of directors as the appointed authorized organizational representative, or AOR. Remember the eBiz POC you appointed in SAM? This person now has top-level administration of your grants.gov account and will be able to appoint multiple AORs to oversee different grants with different agencies. For smaller organizations, your AOR and your eBiz POC might be the same person. Later, when you apply for an ANA grant, You'll need to designate an AOR to sign and certify documents on your board's behalf for all matters related to the ANA grant. For ANA's purposes, your AOR is usually a board chair, a board member, a tribal administrator, or some other authorized official. But it's important to remember that your AOR cannot be the same person you have in mind to be your ANA project director. Nonprofit organizations applying for ANA grants must submit proof of their nonprofit status in the appendices of the application. ANA accepts several forms of proof of nonprofit status, including your original certificate of incorporation or similar documents clearly establishing your initial nonprofit status. A reference to your organization's listing in the IRS's most recent list of tax-exempt organizations, or a statement from a state-level agency or official saying that your organization is a nonprofit and that no net earnings accrue to private shareholders or individuals, right? So state-level certification is okay at the time of application as well. A copy of your original IRS determination letter should do the trick. It's the form, or it's the letter you received when your original application for 501c3 status was first approved by the IRS. Your taxpayer identification number, also known as your employer identification number, is in the top right corner of that determination letter. So remember, you need this when you're registering a DUNS number and a SAM account. The IRS website at irs.gov provides lots of helpful resources for charities and nonprofits. With their handy tax-exempt organization search, you can search for nonprofits by name, state, and more. The results will give you your EIN and let you know if the nonprofit has compliant status. If you've fallen into non-compliant auto revocation status, the IRS site has lots of resources to help you get back on track before awards are made. ANA requires specific governing body documentation from each grant applicant. Whether you're a big tribe or a small nonprofit, you'll need to pass a board resolution according to your organization's bylaws. Since getting on the agenda or even establishing quorums can be a challenge for some of us, even in the off season, it's important to get the ANA grant application on your board's radar early. You'll also need to document how your board is representative of the community your project will serve. Your ANA grant application will have a page limit, so try to keep your board resolution to one single page. A good board reso should commit to supporting the project through the entire project period, authorize someone to sign documents and negotiate on behalf of your tribe or organization, indicate that the community was involved in the project planning process, and indicate the specific dollar amount of matching funds, if applicable, if that's where your match will come from. ANA also requires that a majority of your board of directors is representative of whatever eligible Native community they serve. So these can be tribal members, Native people, or individuals who your community claims as having a significant cultural relationship to the community. To ensure that each board member is accounted for, we recommend documenting this information in table form, with their name in one column and their community affiliation in another. Like the board resolution, put this document on org letterhead and keep it to a single page so that it doesn't affect your final grant application page limit. While your community members should be driving your project, it'll be up to your core grant writing team to put together your ANA grant application, which can be up to 150 pages long. Typically, a good grant writing team is comprised of at least 3 individuals. So your visionary is someone mission focused, always with her eye on the prize. She might not be the greatest writer sometimes, or with paperwork, but she's known in the community and has a passion for the kind of work that needs to be done. You can find her out there doing the work on any given day. Your lead writer should be task and detail oriented, someone able to write and edit drafts of 50 to 100 page documents while keeping your team on deadline. Very important. You'll also need a finance whiz, a master with numbers and budgets. This person can help you get estimates, make financial projections, set up accounting infrastructure for the project, and format spreadsheets. ANA offers a useful calendaring tool to help your team map out your grant writing timeline. You can find it in ANA's application toolkit. Make sure you're using the most recent version from 2019. A new version will be released once the FOAs are published. The application toolkit is a useful companion to each year's FOA, providing templates and tips. But yeah, be advised that content may be outdated once the new FOAs are published. Section 6 of the toolkit provides useful checklists for tasks you'll need to complete while putting together your ANA application, allowing you to assign each of your team members different tasks with start and end dates for each. As I mentioned earlier, ANA's 2020 funding opportunities have not been published yet. For updates, visit the ANA website at acf.hhs.gov/ANA and sign up for the ANA newsletter. We highly recommend signing up for that newsletter. That's where a lot of announcements on funding opportunities and new projects, even grants from partner agencies within ACF, HHS, or beyond are shared often. So recommend that. Other helpful resources that we mentioned during this webinar include the ANA Outreach and Social Media Toolkit, the ANA Nonprofit Toolkit, the ANA Project Planning and Development Training Manual, and the most recent version of the ANA Application Toolkit. And you can find these and more useful resources in the ANA Resource Library, again, available on the ANA website. So at this time, we are open for questions, but I'll leave that up to Shisa to explain how we'll take questions today and after this session. Shisa?
Thank you so much, Matt. Yes, if you folks have questions after today's webinar, we will be sending out a survey shortly after the webinar is finished. It'll pop up in your window. It'll give you an opportunity to ask any questions. We just need you to label which region you're in. So we have 4 regional TTA centers: the ANA Pacific region, the Alaska region, the Eastern region, and the Western region. And I will go ahead and leave their contacts on the last screen of this presentation so you folks can take a look at it. But first we want to talk about the ANA pre-application training, which is the training that's actually coming up in a couple months. So the point of the ANA pre-application training is really to familiarize yourself with the 2020 FOAs, and you'll learn how applications are scored, and you will definitely pick up valuable resources that you can get from going to the training in person. And you'll be able to connect with TTA, which is a free service that all of our regional offices offer. So once again, if you have questions, go ahead and answer or ask them in the survey portion that you will be receiving shortly after this webinar is finished. We have the contacts for all 4 regions listed right here on the screen. And we will also be responding to your emails with your regional contact numbers and websites. You will also be getting another email tomorrow with that same survey if you don't have any questions right now, but you think of some after. So no worries, we are still available and you can respond to that email at any time. We just wanted to thank you guys again for joining us as we try our best to get you ready for this year's ANA application season. Please take note of your regional TTA center and give them a call or an email if you have any questions, or you can respond back to our survey after this is complete. Have a great day, and this concludes today's webinar.